So my first question is, what does pride as a concept mean to you in your everyday life?
So, if you look at the history of Pride, you will see that a lot of it began in the US
Yeah.
during the Stonewall riots, and there is a historical erasure that is happening of the people who led it. Basically, the people who led the first, Pride march. You can't really call it a Pride march. It was really a rebellion against the systems that were oppressing them. And this was actually led by black and Latino drag queens and trans people. But if you look at the mainstream history that has been written about Pride, you would see that there is a complete erasure of their role in that struggle. So as a result of that, like Pride has come to mean also in other areas, like globally, Pride has come to mean a celebration, like a day where LGBTI communities come out on the streets and dress really colorfully. The media comes and takes a few photographs. But really, the struggle and the rebellion of that struggle is really lost, because it almost seems like the liberal progressive spaces have given us one day to celebrate ourselves, and on that day we all perform those roles as colorful peacocks, and then we go back to all the oppression and the trauma, and there is no real structure to deal with that. So I think the revolutionary potential of what used to be a struggle for our rights is completely lost in the current context, and that's something that we need to reclaim. And so some attempts have been made to bring back the politics to Pride by several groups. For example, in Bangalore, when the two Adivasi leaders, Lingaram Kodopi and Soni Sori, were arrested, there was a Pride where those issues were focused, and people had come dressed as cops, and they had placed placards asking for the release of these two Adivasi activists. Then there was another Pride that we did where during the Kashmir struggle, like which is ongoing still, there were a lot of telephone wounds that were happening, a lot of things that we were hearing from Kashmir, and so we had taken a coffin on which on one side we had written no more trans murders, and on the other side we had written no more bullets in Kashmir. So there is a lot of other kinds of politics that we need to bring back to Pride. We need to center trans and intersex leadership. We need to center leadership along the lines of caste and race, because historically these are the most marginalized communities within the LGBTI spectrum, and they are the ones who have led the struggle from the beginning. So I think there is a need to recenter these voices and people back.
My next question is, could you tell us something about Sampoorna? And through your experience of being a part of that, could you share with us some of the most immediate challenges to trans organizing in India in the recent times?
Okay, so Sampoorna is basically an organization, a collective which is unregistered, and we don't take any funds except for very specific things like, say, the website or a particular meeting that we are organizing. So we don't take project-based funds. And Sampoorna is completely led by trans and intersex people. We have 3 trans men on the working group, including myself, and we have one intersex woman who also identifies as trans. So it's completely trans-led, and in that sense, I think it's very important for us to build collectives and organizations that focus on our own liberation. Because often NGOs don't do that, and most of their activities are driven by funded agendas. So they don't really have their ear to the ground. And so Sampoorna has been doing this work voluntarily for the last 14 years. We began as a listserv that gives information much before, information was available on the internet. Our Yahoo listserv was the only place where a lot of people who had access to Yahoo could come and get information on where to find medical resources, legal resources, and stuff like that. So after that, we have done trans health meetings. We have done the first South Asian trans masculine and intersex meets that happened in FIS Bombay in 2014. So we have also got a fund for funding the surgeries of Dalit trans people who are coming from poorer economic backgrounds who can't access healthcare. So these are all through donations that we are doing, all of this support work. And it really makes a difference that the leadership is trans and intersex led, because only the oppressed and the people who face those experiences that can really keep the needs of the community foregrounded in the work that we do. Right. So we are continuing to work as a voluntary collective of individuals, and we have the largest network of trans and intersex Indians across the globe.
Hmm.
We have some diasporic members as well, and most of the people who live in India are part of our network now.
Um, my next question is, do you think there are differences in the way that trans politics is articulated in different regions of the country? Like, do you think there's a difference in how trans politics is played out in North as compared to South of India?
Well, I think there are a lot of differences because it's difficult to think of India as a unified country in the first place.
Right.
Before the British came, we were all princely states, and we have retained the differences and peculiarities of each region, although we are unified under, the nation state. So
Hmm.
each region, of course, has its own particularities. South, for example, has very different history of trans organizing from the north. In the south, for example, trans men have been quite strong for the last decade or so in terms of organizing and articulating their politics. Whereas in the north, except for a few voices that came up from here and there, there was not, a large body of trans men who were articulating their issues very vocally. Most of it was led by trans women. In the northeast, there's a self-determination struggle that's going on there, but especially in places like Manipur, recently we've had a lot of voices coming out from Manipur, and there, of course, their issues would be, emanating from trans experiences, but also against the Indian occupation and the brutality of the Indian army.
Right.
Similarly, in Kashmir, there's a lot of stuff that's happening very recently. Studies have been written about trans women in Kashmir. Trans women are organizing themselves. They have always been part of the self-determination struggle, but separately, on the basis of their identity, it's very recently that they have started organizing. So each region is different in terms of what the demands are and what their needs are, and who is articulating those issues. So I think there is a huge variation across what we could call the subcontinent in terms of what needs are being placed and what demands are being raised.
You used to be a student at LSR and then you were a student at JNU. Back then, were you ever active in student politics around queer issues?
In LSR, by the time I reached my third year degree, I started becoming vocal about my sexuality. And of course, there's a particular trajectory that most trans people go through, which is that first we believe that our sexuality is different, and only then we get access to spaces that open up our possibilities of transitioning and medical support and all of that. So for a long time, I articulated myself as a butch lesbian. I was quite vocal about that at a time when not many people were writing or talking about those things, especially on campuses. And after that, when I joined JNU, we did have a collective in JNU, and we did do a few programs. But again, because JNU and all these university spaces are very isolated and mostly like islands of political ideologies, which have little connection with the world outside. There were a lot of issues that we faced, and of course, trans students were completely absent in both these spaces. So, in terms of organizing, yeah, it was mostly around sexuality, but it was only after I came out of the academic spaces and found my brothers and got into trans politics and realized that I was a trans man and I could transition and, access these medical and legal resources. Only after that did I enter trans organizing. Although my identity as a trans person was pre-existing all of this. But the thing is that you articulate what your identity is only when you find a space for it. So a lot of feminist circles that I was part of in Delhi, for example, because of a simplistic understanding of trans identities and gender, they would always make me feel guilty that, if you transition to manhood, then you immediately join the oppressor side. And so you are betraying the feminist cause. But there are various ways of embodying masculinity. There are various ways of being a feminist. But I think a narrow understanding of gender also kept me from transitioning for a long time because of this kind of pressure that I found from mostly dominant caste feminist circles. You've written the policy brief on trans rights in India with the YP Foundation, which is a helpful resource for young people to become aware of trans issues in India. Would you like to quickly reiterate some of the problems of the TG Bill 2016 for our audience who might not have access to that resource better? Right. So the TG bill, it has been a long process. There have been multiple drafts of the trans bill that have come out. every time a draft comes out, they seek recommendations, but most of the recommendations that we sent have not been taken into consideration by the government. Currently, in its current form, the bill has various issues of prime importance are the definitions of a trans person. Like the definition is very offensive. It says neither man nor woman or combination of man or female or neither. So it really relies on this kind of Hindu mythology of Ardhanarishwara, where you're half man, half woman kind of thing. Whereas the self-identity of a lot of trans people is within the binary or maybe more gender fluid, but none of that has come in the very definition of transgender in the trans bill. So that is a huge problem. The second problem is that there are district screening committees and medical officers who are going to sit and decide whether a person is trans or not. Whereas the Supreme Court judgment has given us the right to self-identify our gender as male, female, or third gender. So these three options have been given, but in the PG bill again it contradicts the Supreme Court judgment because it says that a district screening committee with a chief medical officer and a psychiatrist and some community members will issue the card. So what is the screening process? Will it be a physical examination? How do we prove our gender if it's really on the basis of one's self-identity? There is nothing really to prove there. So that process remains unclear, and if it is indeed a physical examination, then needless to say, it's a huge violation of our human rights. The third most important issue is the criminalization of begging. So the bill is absolutely silent on providing alternate livelihood options, but then it has a specific provision where it equates begging to bonded slavery, and then it says that this should be completely discouraged, and then the people who are engaged in this will be criminalized. So, in the absence of alternate livelihood options, the only vulnerable occupation that the hijra or the trans women have found for that to be criminalized is a huge violation. I think without placing certain employment opportunities on the table, I don't think the government has any right to take away existing vulnerable jobs from the community. So these three, I would think, are the most important issues in the bill.